Hey, this is Joel Oney at the J Money Studio in the heart of the Buckeye State. And I want to personally welcome you to today's episode of the Steel Kings podcast with my good friends Jared Ledford and Eric Olson, better known to you as the Steel Kings. Be sure to check out jmoneyllc.com for financing solutions for your buildings. And now, let's get back to the Steel Kings podcast.
Hey guys, what's up? I'm Jared. This is Eric. We are the Steel Kings.
Let's go.
And this is the Steel Kings podcast. So you are back for episode number 2 of our interviews with our friends over at the J Money team. Eric, what you been up to this week, man? Anything good?
Shoveling snow.
Yeah, so it's February the 17th here in Ohio. And yeah, we dropped a couple inches over the weekend, and on a Monday morning, it is frustratingly snowy here where we are. You guys are going to be listening to us around St. Patrick's Day, so hopefully you guys have a good St. Patrick's Day with your friends and family. Stay safe. We're going to bring you guys episode 2 right now. We're going to bring the team from J Money back into the podcast studio with us. So let's say hello to our friends over at the J Money team, Joel and Katie. Let's get Eric down. How are you guys doing?
They're back.
Doing fantastic. Thanks for having us back.
Yeah, long time no see.
Absolutely. For those of you that don't know, we basically just kept recording from the previous week. So give you a little bit of peek behind the curtain, if you will. We just were running a little bit long, and we want to keep these to that kind of power position of 30 minutes to 45 minutes. So guys, we were in the middle of talking about kind of where we met. We wanted to transition a little bit to talk about our relationship with the podfather of the Shed Geek Podcast Network, Shannon, the podfather. So I will tell you this. Me and Joel have been on a couple of fun. You might have even seen us at a trade show if you're listening or watching. Probably seen us at a trade show or out and about. But we officially met Shannon, I think, in Knoxville. Is that right, Joel? I think that sounds right.
I believe that was our first time that we met him. And then we just continued to deepen the relationship as we crossed paths. And we ran into him again at another trade show up in the state up north and talked for a long time there. And I guess out in Missouri, you and Shannon, we had a booth right next to Shannon's, didn't we? And you and Shannon talked pretty much the whole time. And we had a great opportunity just to get to know him better.
I was a listener. So I was a customer of Shannon's basically because I was listening to his podcast. Mm-hmm. And Shannon will tell you that the listeners are his customers. We're going to give them what they want to listen to. That's why we're talking to you guys about metal building financing, woodshed financing. Quick plug before we get too much ahead of ourselves. Our friends over at J Money are here today with us, Joel, Oney, and Katie Spears. They are your primary contacts for the team. They will offer you financing on your woodsheds, on your metal buildings. If you're a manufacturer, dealer, and by the way, if you're a contractor, they can help you out with that too. Any home improvement needs whatsoever, the team over at J Money will help you out. They're happy to get you started. So yeah, I had a conversation with Shannon, and to give a little transparency here, Dayton Barnes and J Money kind of have this long-standing relationship. We talked about that in the previous episode. But what we started to do is we went out and became advocates for you. Specifically, Eric first and then me. We both became kind of advocates for the product. We wanted to help our friends in the metal building space really get that financing help that they need. And we were able to advocate on behalf of J Money and really, help you guys move forward the way you guys helped us move forward with financing. I just got to talking to Shannon about that. And the rest is kind of history from there, right, Joel?
That's right. Yeah. The more we talked with Shannon, we just felt like, we had some interests that were aligned and that it would allow him to bring a broader range of products to his clientele and his audience. And so it just made sense for us to put together a partnership that would, again, just help others, right? We talked about that in the last episode about how if we in life just work to provide things that will help others to be successful and help others to find success that in a way it will enrich our lives in many ways. And so that's just exactly what we did with Shannon. Went into it with that kind of a mutual shared value, and Shannon has been a great partner.
And I can tell you that the interesting part about the relationship that you two guys have built has allowed the Steel Kings podcast to kind of be birthed out of that process as well. As Shannon kind of takes over the advocacy role, really sharing the product with others, right? Like you said, it's really just, we want to give people the opportunity to benefit from the same type of benefits that we've had here at Dayton Barnes, and that a lot of his listeners and friends have taken as well. So that was the birth of Shed Geek Finance, basically as a partner of the J Money team, right? I mean, Shannon basically, for lack of a better word, he's lead gen. He lead generates as an advertising partner. He anybody that goes through Shed Geek Finance is ultimately going to deal with one of the members of the J Money team. That's kind of how that works, right, Joel?
That's right. Yeah. If somebody reaches out to Shannon to have questions about financing, those leads land with Katie and with me. But Katie, maybe you could tell a little bit about how, when one of those leads come in, Katie, about how you manage that process to help folks out, because Katie works a lot of the heavy lifting and magic behind the scenes that really makes it streamlined for folks that are interested in financing.
Yeah, so as soon as I get a lead, I'll reach back out to you. Thank you for reaching out, and we'll schedule a call right away, kind of give you a little demo of the platform, or, show you what we have to offer. While we're on there, I'll send you a link to apply to use our platform, and we just get started from there. We need just a few documents, get you started, and that's about it.
I think the other thing too that we do afterwards as well, Katie, she makes it sound so simple because she makes everything very simple, but we also take the next step, which is to help folks use the platform well and to train them. And that sometimes is maybe the most important part, because it's like anything. The more knowledge you have about best practices on how to offer something, the better you're going to be and the more success you're going to have. And so Katie does a nice job of getting that aligned as well. Right, Katie?
Yeah, after we have that call, we get you applied and approved. That typically takes a week or two. We'll get you and your entire sales team on a training call with our personal account rep at Upgrade, and they will kind of walk you through the entire upgrade, tell you what to do, what not to do, all the tips and tricks. And we also send out some bi-weekly emails on tips and tricks that you can use on the platform. And so we're always trying to keep you up to date, and we want you to succeed with the platform.
So tell me a little bit more about the sign-up process. I know a lot of people, they get really nervous. They start to get a little bit of consternation. It's the initial steps that are often missed, and then you miss opportunities because you don't take that first step. You're looking for a few documents. You're looking for a few pieces of information, obviously some business documents, things like that should be fairly easy to reproduce. But what you're not looking for is, you're not looking for any kind of payment. You're not looking for any upfront money. This is not a financial commitment from your customers. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, we don't need any kind of application fee or onboarding fee. It's completely free to sign up and can be free to use depending on the plans that you select. But to get you started, we need a W-9, 3 months of bank statements, and a copy of your contractor's license if you use it. And this is the place where we kind of lose customers. It's easy to get them on the call. It's easy to get them to fill out the application, but they hear 3 months of bank statements and they start to sweat a little bit. But it's really just, making sure that you have the means to, be in business and to use this platform. It's not getting too nosy or anything like that. We're not trying to see how much money you have in the bank.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And just to clarify, this is the process for anyone that wants to use the platform to sign up. For somebody who's actually applying, a consumer that's applying, it's a completely paperless process that takes a matter of a few seconds. And so the ability to use that kind of a platform takes just a little bit of pre-screening on our part. And so that's what Katie's alluding to here, but it's a free, very painless process for sure.
Yep.
I think that's my favorite part of the process. And Eric, you can dive into this. So when we started offering the financing product, episode 1, we talked about how Dayton Barnes and J Money became aligned, how the genesis of that moment created a lot of things, not only for us with gross sales and utilizing the product to its maximum, but really giving us the opportunity to be here on this podcast and talk further about it. I'm just blown away by what offerings are there. And Joel, I really want to touch base and kind of advocate again, like I have in the past, for your customer. They can be on a call, they can get approved, they can get basically ready to buy in probably, 20, 30 minutes. You can have a customer basically from start to finish on something. And if you're the dealer, if you're the in-bag holder, you can have money in your account in probably less than 72 hours. I think 3 days is currently the turnaround time on funds transitioning. A lot of people start to get into the nuts and bolts of, well, this sounds great, but when am I going to get my money? It's all about my money. I got to make sure I get paid. And I just want to be transparent. It is a very smooth process. It is super easy, could not be quicker. Certainly a lot easier than dealing with a bank or dealing with cashier's checks or draft checks. These are automatic bank transfers. They take place behind the scenes, 100% paperless process. Anybody got anything to add? Aaron, you were the one financing for us.
I think that you make a really good point there. One of the things we hear a lot of times is, how do we get our money from the loan when the building's delivered? Well, when the building's delivered, you make a real simple request on your platform, no paperwork required. Customer gets a link. They say, yeah, my building's here. I love it. It looks great. They approve the disbursement and it gets transferred electronically into your checking account, which I think is, again, Eric, when we were looking at some of the must-haves, when we were putting together a pilot for the right kinds of products to bring to this space, that was one of the things that we wanted to be sure of, correct?
Yeah. That was, so from Katie's perspective, bringing on new companies, and then training them, that was, I think, something I think we just kind of tandemly helped create. Like, what is the process of a person as a sales rep? What's the question flow? What's the talk track? What are the questions? What are disqualifiers? What are green flags in a person's financial situation? And these things are all teachable from J Money. So like if you're worried about getting onboarded, okay, not a huge deal. Katie can walk you through it, but how you use the product on a case by case basis, like that's the part. That's the part where you seamlessly can do it, like what you guys are talking about. Like you could literally quote a person, a building, a shed, and then literally have them signed up with like a down payment either through a credit card or through like literally in like 3 minutes. I perfected that. We had a whole section on our back end system where I was telling the team, get me pre-qualifications, and then I'll set them up on a call, and I'll walk them through all of the options. Here's the link, and I'll follow up with them. Just get me the yes. Get me the yes that they want financing. And if they want financing and they want to call by me, the close rate was like 80% if they got pre-approved. So like the big thing was get them on the phone so that I can get them comfortable with the product and then also with doing business with us. Because I think a lot of times it's you get these like I know I'm going off on a tangent. Stop me if I'm
No. I think that's good.
So you get these customers that are in the middle of nowhere, right? Montana, Wyoming, Texas. They're already, number one, trying to figure out who they can trust to buy a building from, and then number two, now you want my personal info for, because now I want to finance the thing. So not only do I have to overcome trusting you to give me the building, but now you're also throwing another ingredient and, basically like the dessert, which is the finance options. I think overcoming that with the confidence to be able to speak about not only selling them the building, but also segueing it right into this, like, oh, by the way, 10.99 looks like $212 a month. I dare you to find a better deal. let me share my screen with you and we can kind of go over. And then I'm taking more of I'm not a banker, but I'm taking more of a, well, now let me just take the building hat off and now let me coach it like what my experiences are from the 100 other people that I've closed deals with through financing. It's like, or 1,000, however many people it is. So I think I don't know where I was going with that tangent. Besides that, if you're a dealer and you want to become an expert and close more deals, it's the confidence also that's too. And I think I was just rambling, but man, I get hyped up when I get customers that want financing because I literally can make it happen on the phone. The guy from Washington 3 days ago, I texted Jared. I said, "Is he approved?" I was literally talking to him on the phone. He sent me a text back, said, "Yep, he's ready for his paperwork." And I'm like, "All right, dude, you're ready to go. You let me. It's $2,200 down, and all you got to do is do like 4 steps through email, and you're locked in." And I'm like, literally.
Let me ask a question, Eric.
Yeah.
How many deals where somebody has said, "Oh, you know what? I'll go talk to my bank and then I'll get back with you." How many of those do you lose?
I would say,
because, and the reason I say that is this is all part of the process, so they don't have a way to get away from you, so, but sometimes if they get away from you to check with your bank, I got to imagine that a few of those customers may or may not come back.
Let's say I'm a believing human. I believe what people generally are saying to me. Mm-hmm. However, let me check with the wife and I'll get back to you. Like, they're just saying it, so it's just a sentence they say, like whether they actually go to a bank, all right, let me follow up with him in 48 hours. Most times than not, when the guy's not willing to see if he's pre-qualified, like right there on the phone, it doesn't even matter what the person says. Let me check with the bank. Like maybe 2 out of 10 is probably he's checking with the bank. But like in reality, all they're doing is saying no to you currently. And that's all I'll take because I know for certain a $30,000, if you have an 800 credit score and you want an 8.99 or a 9.99, like the bank is not going to give you an unsecured loan with an 8% interest rate. The end. Mm-hmm. Like so if you called them and you had that conversation with them, honestly, you would call me back and I would have a better rate than them.
And they're going to want to take a second mortgage, or they're going to want to.
So I never try. I never try to overcome that objection because if they're telling the truth, they will call me back. Mm-hmm. And so to me, I'm like, I'm not even going to try to waste my time, but because I know they're going to come back if they're telling the truth. And if they're not telling the truth, then they're basically just trying to get me off the phone. And then they might call me back anyway. And it's not like I'm being some sleazy salesperson. I just don't press buttons when they don't need to be pressed. And because I know if you have an 800, I know for certain we're competitive. I might have to come off a couple points because it might cost us a little bit more to do the front load on that. But those are all details you can work out in your mind as you're talking to the person based on their financial landscape of their own personal life. They might want to stay away from the bank. They might want to stay away from the bank because they just refinanced. But they want that money for something else. And they're like, well, I kind of want to not use the bank. Well, it's like, well, dude, I can give you better rates than the bank anyway. So there's been some scenarios where they couldn't leverage their bank in their credit score because maybe they just did something else where this becomes a super viable option for them. Because they're not going to be punished and put in the pool of like no knock on a 700, but like a person with an 800 deserves a little bit more than a person with a 700 for obvious reasons. It's because you've done a better job over your life, managing the ups and downs of your, so.
What I like about the relationship that we have, and I know this is not a unique relationship. This is a relationship that the team over at J Money shares with all their clients is you guys help set up, you guys help train, you guys help maintain, you do check-ins, you've got one-on-one relationships with key financing team members at the companies that, help you get connected with the financing in the first place. Joel, tell me about that. Tell me about the process. And Katie, you jump in here too. I know that I've learned a lot Now, I obviously have a next level relationship with you all, but that's a relationship that anybody that's listening to this podcast can have with these folks over at J Money, because they do it for everybody.
Hello, Shed and Carport industry. I'm Cord Cook, Chief Brand Strategist here at Shed Geek Marketing. Did you know that Shed Geek Marketing works with 45 shed companies and counting? And we are not slowing down in 2025. One of the neat benefits to working with Shed Geek Marketing is working with an agency as opposed to just an individual. When you work with Shed Geek Marketing, you have a team of professionals working diligently to ensure your success. From branding guidelines and brand books to websites, Google and Meta tag tracking that measures the traffic to your website and social media pages, CRM setup and full automation build-outs, lead funnel integration, and so much more. Worried about whether or not we can serve you? Don't be. Shed Geek Marketing works with manufacturers ranging from $1 million a year in sales up to $80 million a year in sales. There is no manufacturer too big or too small. Remember, marketing is an investment that should be making you money. That's why nearly 50 companies have decided to work with Shed Geek Marketing. So for more information, go to www.shedgeek.com and submit some basic information, and we'll reach out with a discovery call and patiently walk you through how we can best serve you. Thank you for your time and look forward to working with you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And this is the great time of year to do it, when there's snow on the ground, at least here in Ohio, and maybe things are a little bit slower. We have been on a mission here over the last several weeks to reach out and contact all the folks that we deal with to say, hey, how's it going? What obstacles are you encountering? How can we help you be better prepared for the upcoming spring rush when the snow melts? Are you comfortable in using the platform? What about a training session? Could we do a retraining, a refresh, those kinds of things? Because like anything, it just helps to use things more efficiently if you're comfortable with them. And Katie's gone so far as to help folks with everything from QR codes and flyers to put in their buildings or on their desks and so forth, to lead people through the application process. So there's a lot that we can do along those lines. But I think that, back to the bank question, Eric, I was just a little bit of a loaded question, just because when we were first searching for solutions, I asked some of my banking friends, I said, hey, is this something that you'd be interested in, some of this deal flow? And they said, oh yeah, we could probably turn an application around in a day or two. And I said, a day or two? I said, if you're more than a few seconds, you're out of the game. And they just looked at me with these blank looks, a few seconds. Well, yeah, I mean, really, it's a paperless process that takes a few seconds to process. And so, I think that, again, having been in the banking world, it's not a knock on my banking friends. They have certain parameters that they have to follow and work within. But the thing that we put in between there is technology, right? We use fintech technology that allows us to process applications more quickly, use paperless processes that can manage things, from a digital platform in a much faster way than maybe what somebody sitting in a bank branch do. Yeah.
And a huge thing here is that a lot of people, like, if you think about the Green Sky Home Depot partnership that they had or still have, I don't know if people who are replacing doors and windows at their house are going to spend $25K on that project. And that's something that you don't really technically want to pull a home equity line of credit out, because it's a big project, but it's like not, you only want to use that card maybe once or twice in your life. And maybe you don't want to do it for, maybe you'll have a back deck project too, you want to roll into that. So like, in turn, you can be at, for in that case example, you can be standing at the counter at Home Depot, get approved with Green Sky on the spot, and then walk out and you got a window project. I mean, whereas if you had to go to a bank and pull out $25K, like I know it seems like, well, if you really want it, you'll do it. Like, no, people want DoorDash from their couch when McDonald's is literally 2 blocks down the street. They will pay someone $11 to bring them a sack of French fries and chicken nuggets. Like, the same applies all the way up to $30,000 purchases. Like, they just don't want to go somewhere. And so I think playing in that hand where J Money really separates, like, Oh my gosh, that was easy. I'm like, yeah, literally just dropped 50K in like 3 minutes. No big deal. But you've got what you want, and as long as the person like me or Jared is confident in the sales process, can speak the language, like that's the thing that I'm speaking to a lot of stoic dealers, probably, no offense. Like, it's time to up your sales game with your presentation and and like your professionalism and your eloquent speech, because you really could start selling more larger buildings, larger projects, utilizing J Money financing with like along the way in any project. As long as you know it, people will not say no. They're like impressed with like the 10 things that I know. And I don't know a ton. I just know like what the rates are and kind of what you need to know, have credit wise. It's like, so I'm not like some expert, but man, I am definitely confident in it. So, I mean, maybe that was a little jab at the shed
No,
dealer down the block, but
let me say this. Let me say this. So Eric came from an aggressive point of view right there, and it was
yeah,
fine
sorry.
because
Okay.
no, hearing things in real time. So call to action this week. Take constructive feedback, because everything he just said is absolutely true. If you are still sitting on a shed lot and you are not offering a financing product, whether it be J Money or another financing product, you're missing out. There are a lot of great financing products out there. We just happen to really believe in the folks over at J Money. Eric's talking about talking up your game and getting more of a talk track. This is the team you want to work with. They're going to work with you on the training. They're going to work with you on maintaining it. They're going to get you everything you need, all the tools. We talked about tools last time. Let me say this. We have a lot of folks that are listening right now who can't see the video, who are not exactly tech focused, who are not exactly focused on technology. Our Amish friends, our Mennonite friends, a lot of those folks are listening to us on a call service. We're very thankful and grateful that you guys give us your time.
Yes.
What I can tell you is this is also the team that you want to contact. They are very tech forward. They are very in the moment, but they know to which they speak. A lot of clients that are Amish, Mennonite, that are not using the tech platform, and J Money can help you out with that. Those guys, again, I want to give you guys a quick plug. Again, there's a lot of folks that are listening to us on a call service right now. Contact the team at J Money. That's Joel Oney, Katie Spears, the team behind them. 1-937-7 Money. Those guys will help you out. Joel, tell me about the process a little bit on what you can go into when it comes to our Amish friends.
Yeah, that's a great point, because we work with a lot of folks, right, Katie, that don't use that technology, right? They don't use a computer or internet platform, but they might have somebody on their team that uses technology and internet platform. Maybe they have a sales manager or a key salesperson that uses a computer. And what we do is we just work with that person to become the administrator on the account. Maybe they have a bookkeeper or a CPA that becomes the administrator on the account. And so we work with a lot of folks in that manner. Right, Katie?
Yep.
I thought that was an extremely interesting tool, because I can tell you, we've talked about this in the last episode. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this episode. Joel and I have been to a handful of trade shows at this point together. We've been out kind of repping the product. He is the owner of J Money. Me as an advocate for the product. I'm a firsthand user. I'm a heavy user. Dayton Barnes. One thing we didn't talk about, we were at the genesis of J Money when it came to a financing product. We not only helped pilot the program for J Money, but we helped pilot the program for our financing partner. And we have along that way become very ingrained with how the process works, giving feedback. And I can tell you, the team over there, they do a great job of listening to feedback. If you're a large scale dealer of any kind right now, with any kind of marketing list or customer data sets or anything like that, this program is what you want. You can take your customer data. You can find out if customers are pre-approved. You can find that out just with their name and address. It's very simple. It takes less than 30 seconds to figure that kind of stuff out. And then you are in a position to be that much more aggressive and in a good way. You can give a customer so much more information to say, if you're ready to make this purchase and it's coming down to if you can afford it on a cash level, think about how many customers have 30, 40, $50,000 just lying around in cash to buy a building. There's not that many people out there that have that kind of loose cash right now. People live to work in a lot of ways right now. They want to make payments. Hey, if I work 5 hours extra a week and I'm getting overtime for those 5 hours, that's going to make my payment on my metal building because I want to go home and I want to go work on my car, or I want to do some side work, or maybe I'm trying to replace a storage unit. Whatever that reason is, give your customer all the tools that you can. Contact the team at J Money. Joel, what are you thinking about, man? I mean, we have talked about a lot over the last couple of weeks, right?
We've talked about a lot. I think a lot about financing and so forth, but I guess I'd like to take just a few minutes before our time gets away and just talk a little bit about some shared values, right? Because if you're partnered with the people that have the same kind of values that you have, life is just so much better that way, I think. And so we have one of our shared values within our company is only great people, right? And we want to be working with great people. And I think that's why we've worked with you guys for so long, how we got involved with Shannon, because you look at that first value in our value proposition within our company, it is only great people. And so I think that is something that we have here with you guys, and I value greatly. So that when you said, hey, we're thinking about doing this Steel Kings podcast and looking for someone that could get behind us from a financial sponsorship standpoint, for me that was a real easy decision, because you guys meet the very first line in our value proposition, which is only work with great people.
Nice.
I can tell you, coming from you, that means a lot. And what I've realized the more we talk, only great people, and really that produces only great relationships. If you really minimize the input from people who are not going to help you, and I think we'll talk track a little bit on this as we finish up for this week. I can tell you that Eric and I have worked with multiple partners. You guys have heard the stories already from the first couple episodes. Every relationship can be a positive one, even if it doesn't end all that well. You can learn from your mistakes, and Eric and I have both made more mistakes than we can shake. But we get up every day, we look ourselves in the mirror, and we try to do better today and the next day and the next day. From somebody who is still really quite green in the metal building and shed industry, where there are so many people that are listening to us that have done this for a lot longer than us, that know more about the industry than we do. This is my call to action. If you feel like you got something to share, reach out to me or Eric. We'd love to interview for you for the show. We'd love to get you connected with some of our partners, like the guys over at Shed Geek Financing or the guys over at J Money. We'd love to help you out with that. I mean, the reason that we're doing this podcast, at least the reason I'm doing it, and I'll let Eric kind of share his why, is because we want to see the industry do better as a whole. A rising tide raises all boats. You'll hear all these cliches, and I'm the master of cliches. I'm always trying to think about how to tie something to something else. And I can tell you, the shed industry and the steel building industry has never been hotter. It's never been a better space to be in. If you're listening to this and you're considering steel buildings to add to your portfolio for sales and you're selling wood sheds, please let us know. We'd love to help you out with that. The team over at J Money would love to help you out with that. We've got a blue million contacts we can help you out with. Eric, what are you thinking about today, man, as we finish up?
I'm thinking about the future, like what, as a shed lot dealer or a metal building dealer, you're adding this. Great. Don't stop there. Get organized with the back end. Get a sales process for a finance customer. Get a sales process for a not, and then of course, the mind wanderer guy, how can we get a builder, a 3D design tool? How can we get a 3D design tool priced accurately, financed through that program, and then attached to the back end system, and then we just send the order in, and we don't really need to discuss much unless there's questions. And so I see all the pieces. So you're asking me, my mind is, what are we doing in the winter time, a year from now when we're building a system back up. And so that's kind of where and there's no better team to do it than the J Money team. And if you're a builder out there and you just heard what I said, holler at Jared, and we've got some ideas.
We are grateful for Joel and Katie. They've spent the last about hour and a half with us. We've taken this over 2 weeks now as far as our friends that are listening. You heard episode 1 last week. You're hearing the culmination, the finish up of episode 2 right now. Joel and Katie, do you have any parting words for the listeners of the Steel Kings podcast?
Go ahead, Katie.
Well, I don't have any thoughts, so I was going to let you go first.
Well, I always have some thoughts, and I'll take a minute just to plug Katie and how appreciative I am for her. We talked a little bit about how Katie and I met at a banquet, and sometimes the times you meet folks in life that you're putting yourself out there and you come across somebody who's just absolutely fantastic. Obviously, that's how I met the Steel Kings, Jared and Eric. But that's also how Katie met me by engaging with me at a banquet. And she has become a very indispensable part of our team and just does an amazing job of taking care of our clients. So I'll use the last few moments here as we close just to plug her and tell how much I appreciate her.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to helping some new merchants sign up with us. Can't express enough that, we succeed when you succeed, and we really want to help everybody succeed and have a great 2025.
I really appreciate the two of you taking time for the last hour and a half to spend with Eric and I. We are very grateful for the relationship that the Steel Kings have with the team over at J Money. I can tell you, we would not be where we're at without you guys. As far as metal buildings, wood sheds, any kind of home improvement options, if you're a contractor, if you're a dealer, if you're a manufacturer, this is the team that the Steel Kings have chosen to ride with, and we are so grateful for their friendship, their partnership. We look forward to a successful 2025. Contact the team at J Money. That's 937-7J-Money. Joel at jmoneyllc.com. Caitlin Spears, that's Katelyn.Spears, SPEARS, at jmoneyllc.com. And as always, jmoneyllc.com to sign up. Guys, it has been a great time. We really appreciate you. I'm Jared. He's Eric. We are the Steel Kings. For this week, we're out. Have a great time, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Let's go.
Have a good week, guys. Later on.
Before you go, the J Money team wants to thank you for listening to today's Steel Kings podcast. Remember, money is king. If you need a financing option on your portable wood sheds or steel buildings, we are here to help. Just check out jmoneyllc.com for more information. Don't forget to catch the next episode. We'll still be here. Have a great day.